Hi everyone, David Zakas with Zakas Realty and Design, and as you can see, I have a guest today with me, and this is Cole Craigle with Craigle Insurance. Cole, can you just give a quick overview of yourself? Give me 1 second summary of yourself.
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for having me, David. My name is Cole Craigle with Craigle Insurance, independent agency here in Sarasota. We've been established in the Sarasota area since the 1980s. My dad obviously is the lead agent of the agency. He primarily do home and auto, private lines of insurance, as well as some commercial policies as well. But other than that, just glad to be here.
Okay, good. So, we like to align ourselves with like-minded agencies because when we sell real estate, we have buyers buying real estate. You really need a trusted team in order to make that flow. And insurance is so important nowadays in Florida of people buying. That's why I wanted to invite Cole in and have him talk a little bit about that. So his father and son team, definitely trusted. We reach out to them all the time. Can you write policies, insurance? Can you cover homes in Florida? I mean, it sounds like a weird question, but I've had people tell me I'm not going to move to Florida because I can't get insurance.
Yes. So the short answer is yes. Obviously, there's a lot of strings of attached, but majority of the time, I would say 99% of the time, we can write a insurance policy for a home.
Okay. Now, what does someone need to give you or give me? Because sometimes I'm out there, they're not here. What do they need to know as far as getting insurance on a home?
So the best thing to do, obviously, is simply the first thing I need is the address. Next steps would be as far as occupancy of how the home will be occupied, whether it's going to be the primary, secondary, or if it's going to be an investment property / rental property. Those are kind of the basic steps. Once you get into the weeds of it, when it comes to discounts of how the roof is attached, obviously you have what they call as a wind mitigation inspection. That's something that will help down the road as far as discounts to the premium. But just to get the ball rolling as far as basic quotes or a ballpark figure for the client so they have an idea of what the insurance will be is just simply the address to start, as well as how the property will be occupied.
Okay, what are a few things that will keep a house from being insured?
So definitely the first thing that's going to be an issue is going to be the roof. So if the roof is in poor condition, and let's say that the roof has a useful life of less than 5 years, then that is going to have some issues as far as getting insurance on the home.
All right, and we'll talk a little bit more specifically about roofs in just a minute, okay? Now, there's a lot of myths out there, misunderstanding. Do you have a story maybe that you could share that might be people called and said, I'm not going to get insurance, or maybe a positive story as far as somebody felt they weren't going to get insurance and you were able to cover them?
Yeah, so obviously I would say not a specific story, just in general is that obviously clients sometimes don't know how much they're paying for insurance because if they have it escrowed, they think it's obviously lumped into their monthly payment and they have no idea that the monthly has gone up due to insurance. So just a general positive story is that we're able to obviously analyze the current policy as well as what the best options are and hopefully, save the client a lot of money.
Okay. And then circling back again, you said 99% of the time you can insure a house for somebody. Keep that in mind. There's definitely options out there and good options out there. All right, now let's talk a little bit about roofs because this is something that comes up when I show houses. I've had people tell me they talked to their insurance agent, not Cole, told them that, the roof can't be more than 10 years old. But I've never heard that. So there's a lot of misinformation out there as far as the roof. So I want to know, Cole, what's the truth when it comes to a shingle roof? When can they insure it? How many years? A tile roof, a metal roof? That kind of covers all the roofs we have in our area here.
Yeah, so obviously Florida, you're going to have a lot of factors when it comes to the roof as far as making it more deteriorated and ruin the material of it. So obviously Florida, we get a lot of rain, a lot of sunshine, and obviously from hurricanes, we get a lot of wind. Those factors are obviously going to decrease the useful life of the roof. But so a ballpark figure in a more, I would say, conservative side to think of things is at 15 years for shingle roofs, 20 to 25 for tile, and let's say 25 to 30 for metal roofs. So once again, it's 15 to 20 for shingles, 20 to 25 for tile, and 25 to 30 years for metal.
Okay, so if the roof is within that time frame, they also have to have it inspected, and an inspector has to say that it has at least 5 years of useful life left. Is that correct?
Yeah, so anytime a home is greater than 20 years old, you're going to have to get a 4-point inspection, which measures 4 things, obviously. 1 is the roof, 2 is the AC unit, 3 is the plumbing, and 4 is the electrical panel. So obviously the first thing is going to be the roof, and if the home is greater than 20 years old, then obviously the roof is whether it's original or a new roof. The inspector is going to measure the roof to see what the useful life is. Obviously this is a licensed inspector who specializes in these types of inspections, so they are going to give an estimation as far as the useful life, which will be provided to an insurance company to show proof that the roof is in decent condition and has at least 5 years of life left on it.
Okay. And if it does, then you can insure it and move forward. Now, me being the real estate agent sometimes, and really quite often, especially I do a lot of business on the island where the home inventory is much older. So it's common to have older roofs. So if a roof is older than those criterias, I also have partners. We have partners in the roofing industry, and many times we've worked this out to have a new roof put on before it closes, so then they can get insurance. So we can talk about that later, but I just wanted people to know out there, we have the professionals that can help you if you're looking at an older home. All right, now let's talk about flood insurance real quick, because that's another big one. The recent storm surge and the hurricanes. What's the truth about flood insurance? And then I'd love to hear an interesting story if you have one, about maybe a story about flood insurance.
Yeah, so flood insurance, here's like a myth/truth, is that some people assume that your home policy is going to cover flood. Unfortunately, that is not correct. Flood insurance is going to be a separate policy that you'll want to purchase, especially if you're in a flood zone. So that's definitely a truth/myth, so I'd address that at first. And number two, majority of the time, the flood policy is going to be backed by the NFIP, which is National Flood Insurance Program, which is backed by the government and FEMA. So there's obviously no caveats, no catches as far as payout, people not getting paid. And to, relate to that as far as a positive story is that obviously we had a Hurricane Debbie here in Sarasota that was affected a lot of people, even if they weren't in a flood zone, especially people that lived along Felipe Creek. Positive story is that we had a client on Felipe Creek that obviously just got paid out from their flood company, approximately $180,000 that they received from the flood insurance company to obviously give, the money for repairs necessary for the damage that was done from Hurricane Debbie.
Okay, now let's answer this question, because there's private insurance and there's citizen insurance. And over the years, I've been here 42 plus years, Citizens has evolved a little bit since it was. It used to be the policy of last resort, and if you couldn't get insurance, you could always get Citizens. So tell people about the difference between private insurance and Citizens, and does Citizens have to cover somebody?
So Citizens obviously has been established for a long time. They are backed by the state, so there are guidelines to follow if you want to be insured by Citizens. Nowadays, that obviously you mentioned that they are the company of last resort, they still are labeled that company because they don't want too much exposure for the state of Florida, because let's say there's multiple Category 5 hurricanes that wipe out the state of Florida, then it'll start to get interesting as far as paying out for claims and the resources that they have. There are guidelines and steps that they have for backing up the money, so they do have enough money for if there was a disaster like that, but they do label themselves as last resort because they do not want to be the first line of defense when it comes to insuring a home. Now, to answer the other question as far as Citizens insuring a home, yes, they will insure a home. Obviously, it's going to relate back to that roof of having a useful life of 5 years. If it has less than 5 years, then you're going to have some caveats when it comes to Citizens. There's some guidelines as far as what can be done as far as getting a new roof to show that the useful life is greater than 5 years. There's some steps such as that when it comes to roofing contracts and showing that you will be getting a roof within 60 days, obviously, of when you'll be closing.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. So there's a possibility to get insurance and then just agree to have the roof put on after they close, but before 60 days.
Yes, you have to have a couple things. You have to have a signed roofer's contract as well as an invoice saying that the down payment is being paid to the roofer, showing the date that the roof is going to be installed. Obviously, it's something that you don't really want to be addressing because it's going to have a lot of hurdles to go through in order to get insurance on the property. But that is the backstop, I would say, as far as getting a roof replaced as well as closing on your property.
Okay, and most of the time, I'm going to take care of that for you up front. We're going to negotiate that, try to have that roof put on before you close on your home, but sometimes there's not enough time depending on circumstances, and that can take place after closing, but the money can be set aside by the seller and other things, and we can talk to you about that more later. Now, you mentioned something about citizen depopulation. I'm not familiar what that is, but what is that?
So obviously before 2022, when there was some law changes, I won't get into the weeds of the law changes, but Citizens was basically going to be, the go-to as far as an affordability standpoint, because other companies are going to charge triple, if not more, as far as a premium for your home. So majority of clients and home buyers are going to Citizens just because of an affordability standpoint. With that being said, they approached, I want to say, close to 2 million policies before they started doing what's called a takeout/depopulation. What this means is that they're going to allow private market companies to take the policy at the renewal date as long as the private company is coming in within 20% of Citizens' estimated renewal. So let's say your renewal is up January 1st of next year. A private market company is offering the same, obviously, on your renewal on January 1st, and their premium is estimated to be within 20% of Citizens. Then it's going to be an automatic switch to that company that is making the offer within 20%, because in order to even qualify for Citizens, you have to prove that other companies are charging more than 20%. So that's why they get basically the label of last resort, is because they are available, but you have to prove that everybody else is more than 20% as far as the total premium.
Okay. So you have to, somebody comes to you, you have a system, you can run them out. I know I get bids on behalf of clients, 4 or 5 different, maybe even 6 or 7 different quotes. And so they have to go to a private company. If they're just moving to Florida, this is their first home in Florida or whatever, or additional home in Florida, they have to go to a private insurance company first?
You have to prove. So let's say that I obviously send you and the client a bunch of quotes, and they want to take the Citizens option. I have to prove to Citizens, hey, they're eligible to stay with or eligible to be with Citizens because the other company is charging more than 20%. There are some guidelines when it comes to that and some things that we handle as far as our insurance agency that I'm not going to get into, but yes, you have to prove that another company is going to be more than 20% to even qualify to be with Citizens. It's not that you can just pick to be with Citizens because you want to.
Okay, gotcha. So then I guess if you're looking for a home, I have a buyer relocating next week and they're coming down to look at homes and they're very insurance conscious. He's getting insurance out of state. And so what's kind of the most important features for somebody like that they're concerned? I want to buy a home in Florida. I know there've been storms, but I want to limit my risk and I want to make sure I'm buying a home that's safe. If we do have additional storms, what are some of the features that are important to buyers like that?
Yeah, so obviously we talked about flood. That's going to be a huge factor here in the state of Florida, especially since the recent hurricanes that have caused some flooding.
So getting a house that's not in a flood zone.
Not in a flood zone, so that's definitely step one. So it's good to go as far as flooding and any rising water. Doesn't mean that it will make it flooded in the future, but the likelihood is less than being in a flood zone. When it comes to the home itself, there's going to be some different roof shapes. Obviously, the way the roof's attached are some discounts as well, but so as far as how roofs are shaped is there's a couple different shapes. One is hip, another is gable, and then obviously you have flat as another roof type. So from an insurance standpoint, when it comes to roofs, a hip roof is the least exposed as far as wind coming up and ripping off the roof. Next, that is most exposed is going to be gable, and then obviously you have a flat roof that may cause some leakage. So from a roof shape standpoint, if you have a hip roof, that's going to be obviously the most secure roof shape, as well as the discounts that you'll receive from insurance premium. And then obviously if you go into how the home was built, whether you have masonry, which is concrete block, or frame, which is wood. So you want to obviously lean towards a home that is going to be concrete block just because it's more structurally sound than a wood frame home.
Okay. Yeah, and even the older homes here, the majority of them are all concrete block, but you do on occasion run into homes that are wood frame. That's important to know as far as cost of insurance. I think that gives everybody a good summary. Of course, if you want more questions answered, you have specific questions, we're going to put Cole's information on the screen and you can reach out to him directly, or feel free to reach out to me and I'll forward that along. I appreciate you coming in today. I hope you find this informative. Thank you for watching and we look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my videos. Some of you may be new to the channel, some may be watching for years, but I wanted to share a little bit more about something maybe people don't know about. Part of our philosophy at Sachs Realty and Design Group is to give back to the community. And in addition to doing real estate day in and day out, I volunteer my time, energy, and finances, and I give back to local active and retired law enforcement officers. I do that because I still have a passion for helping the men and women that are out there working day in and day out, putting their lives on the lines, and ones that have served in the past. I'm currently the president of the Sarasota County Law Enforcement Lodge 45. We have our office here in Venice, and we meet on the third Thursday of every month. We help each other by providing encouragement, support, camaraderie, and we also help when maybe somebody's facing a difficult time. We have a program called Cops Helping Cops, and we help those officers by providing financial assistance, sometimes just a hand up, and prayer through times when they're facing some sickness or in distress. Again, we meet monthly. I would encourage you to reach out. I know we have a lot of retired law enforcement officers that moved from other areas. Probably half our lodge has members from New York, New Jersey, the Midwest and the Northeast. So feel free to check us out, FOPLodge45.com. Feel free to reach out, give me a call. All right, thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon. Take care.